I used to think I was the kind of person who could read people well. Not perfectly, but well enough to know when something felt off. After everything I'd been through, I thought I learned my lesson by now. I was wrong. A few months before all this happened, I got out of a bad relationship that honestly changed me. Not in a good way at all. It was toxic. It wasn't the kind of toxic where you argue and break up and get back together, secretly in love with each other. It was the kind that slowly weared you down, made you insecure until you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Every conversation felt like a trap, felt like they wanted to argue. Somehow, I always was the one apologizing, even when I knew I didn't do anything wrong. During it, I stopped talking to my friends as much, stopped doing things I enjoyed. I remember looking at myself one day and realizing I just felt small. Leaving wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And when I finally did, I promised myself I would never let anyone treat me like that again. For a while, I kept to myself. The one thing that kept me grounded was the gym. It gave me routine, control, a place where progress actually meant something. Numbers didn't lie. Early mornings, late nights, it didn't matter. It helped me clear my head, give me a sense of purpose, and have something for myself. I wasn't there to impress anyone. I just wanted to feel like me again. And for a while, that's exactly what happened. Until I noticed her. At first, she was just another face, cute, attractive, someone who happened to be there when I was. But after a couple of weeks, it became harder to ignore. She was always there, no matter what time I went. Morning, afternoon, even late at night. She'd be somewhere in the gym, not always close, but always around. And sometimes when I'd glance over at her, out of curiosity, she'd already be looking at me. Not smiling, not looking away, just staring. I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe she just had bad social cues. The uneasy feelings I had, I decided to ignore. I didn't want my past to turn me into someone who was paranoid. I didn't want to ruin something before it even started. So after seeing her for weeks, I finally built up the courage one day to go over and start talking to her. She was by the dumbbells on her phone. I said to her, "I see you here a lot. Thought I would stop by and just say hello." She looked up slowly and then said, "I was wondering when you would." Something about that sentence stuck with me, but I ignored it. Her name was Lila. We exchanged socials, talked a little bit. Things felt normal enough, at least on the surface. She replied quickly, sometimes even instantly, and even that gave me a strange feeling. But again, I ignored it. A few days later, we went out. The date felt off, not terrible, just off. She didn't laugh much, she stared too long, repeated things I said like she was storing them away. At one point, she mentioned something about me I didn't remember telling her. That feeling came back, but I ignored it. After the date, she asked me to come back to her place. I hesitated, but I still went. After leaving the restaurant, I put her house address into Google Maps. She told me that she lived with her mother, her father, and her younger brother. And that was it. The rest of the ride, I was telling her more about myself. She wasn't talking as much. It seemed like she was just trying to rehearse what I was telling her, trying to store it in her head. We continued to drive, and then eventually we reached her house. It was a two-story family house, made for a bit of a larger family than what she had listed, but I ignored it. Her mom then opens the door after we ring the doorbell, and I introduced myself to her mother, and her mother does the same, saying stuff to make me feel at home. After a little bit of small talk with the mother, we then go upstairs to her room. She had told me that her father and her younger brother weren't there at the time. We then enter the room, and everything felt off about that room. From the second I stepped inside, dim, heavy, like something wasn't right. Then, after a little bit of sitting on her bed, she showed me a box. She opens it. Needles, blades, no explanation, just blank expression, just her watching me. "I trust you," she said. That moment, my heart started to throb, about to jump out of my chest. I stopped ignoring the instincts at that moment. I left quickly, but making an excuse about having work the next morning and just having to leave early. After that, I didn't reach out to her, and I didn't hear from her for a couple days also. I thought it was over. Just one bad date, and just a girl I needed to stay away from. After a couple days, I started to forget about the whole thing, even though it had disturbed me previously. I was sitting down, watching TV after eating dinner, and then I got the first picture. Unknown number. It was me, walking out of a grocery store, taken from all the way across the street. Even then, I tried to ignore it, thinking it was a prank from someone I knew. I told myself it had to be nothing. Then another one came, closer, me at the gym. The message said, "You always start with arms." Something she had said on the date. That's when I knew. The pictures kept coming, each one closer and across the street. Same sidewalk, right behind me. And that's when I started to feel very uneasy. The next 2 days were quiet. I didn't get any pictures, and I was starting to think that this girl got bored and she was done. But then I got another picture. This one was of my street. And then the uneasiness grew again. I never told her where I lived. I never posted my house. I never shared my location. I had no idea how she got my address. That thought was not leaving my head. I kept thinking to myself, how does she know where I live? I started checking behind me constantly the next couple of days. Stopped going outside unless I had to. Barely slept. And then one night, I got the worst one. It was me, inside my bedroom, changing my shirt. My hands started shaking. The message read, "I could use those muscles." That's when I went to the police. I showed them everything. The pictures, the messages. I told them about her. They listened, but said there was not enough proof. No direct evidence. I then started to become frustrated with the officers, feeling like they didn't understand my situation. I then give them her house address anyway. They went. The mom answered the door after many knocks from the officers. She then proceeds to say that Lila hasn't been home for days. Days, I was thinking to myself after I heard what the officers told me. That made everything much worse, because it meant she could have been anywhere, watching, waiting. That night, I locked everything, checked every door and window, multiple times before trying to sleep. Then I heard it, a rattling sound from the basement. I froze, my heart ready to jump out of my chest, ready to flatline. I live alone. Then I hear footsteps, slow, coming up the stairs. Then her voice, soft. She then said, "Why don't you like me?" The first hit came against my door, made me jump. Something slammed into it. Again and again, the wood started cracking. I didn't think. I just ran. I climbed out of my window and sprinted to my neighbor's house, banging on their door until they let me in. Then I called the police after sitting down. After what felt like an eternity, they came, searched everything. Nothing. No sign of her. No sign of forced entry. Nothing. It made no sense to me. My neighbors let me stay that night. The next day, I tried to convince myself it was over, but it wasn't. I go back to my house, and then notice food going missing. The following days, wrappers appeared where I didn't leave them, crumbs on the counter. At first, I tried to ignore it again, just blaming my paranoia. Told myself it was just stress, but deep down, I had a gut feeling. I knew. So I asked my friend Marcus to stay over. He has always been there for me, so it was no different this time. That night, we stayed in the other bedroom. At some point, I fell asleep. I woke up to silence. The door of the bedroom creaked open. Marcus wasn't in the bed. I then get up and go into the hallway in hopes to go to the kitchen to get some water. And there it was, a horrific sight. Marcus was in the bathroom, and standing outside the door was her, still waiting. She said, "Come out, I just want to talk, I promise." I stepped back slowly. The floor creaked. My life felt like it was over. Her head snapped toward me instantly. I ran, slipped into the hallway closet, closed the door, and called the police, while trying not to breathe too loud. I could hear faint movement outside, then sirens. Police rushed in, shouting. A struggle, then gunshots, accompanied with a silence that was way too long. The police then opened the closet door and escorted me out. They told me she had a knife. She didn't listen, so they had to shoot. Marcus came out of the bathroom at the same time, pale. I knew something was wrong, he said. That's why I didn't come out. The next couple of days, the police start to investigate. Then, one day, they go back to Lila's house, knock on the door several times. Eventually, the mother opened the door again. They explained the situation. The mother started to sob. They go upstairs with full permission from the mother and enter Lila's room to find the box of needles and everything. And then shortly after, searching the rest of her room, they find pictures of me from before I even approached Lila. Just me at the gym, me hitting legs, me about to go into the locker room. It was a disturbing sight, but eventually I learned to live with the situation at hand. I didn't switch gyms, I didn't switch homes, but now I was more careful. I never ignored my gut feeling. I'm just happy that the police came when they did, because who knows what she would have done to me and Marcus.